This is a video of my 14th and 15th solos. I've been practicing my takeoff and landings during the winter, running about every 3 to 4 weeks. Weather is warming up now, so we'll be flying a little bit more often. Wanted to keep the engine in good condition. Didn't really enjoy flying in 30-degree weather, but today's a beautiful day and we're at 78 degrees Fahrenheit. It's pretty windy with a pretty gusty, strong left crosswind on runway 35 at York KTHV. But we're going to do 2 takeoff and landings here just to make sure that I maintain my proficiency. So the rollout was pretty normal, and after a 3-week absence I thought I did okay in terms of rudder control. I needed to improve my center line hold as I was taking off down the runway, or as I was following the runway as I climbed. But generally I was probably not that far off. I also noticed that, and you'll see when I do my left turn to the crosswind leg, that I'm not as coordinated as I would like to be. You watch the little white ball there in the top of or above my GPS in the center. You'll see I'll skid a little bit to the right here. Not enough aileron, too much rudder. And the ball's moving around quite a bit because the wind's moving around quite a bit. And as we gained altitude, the wind picked up. I think the winds aloft were probably 25 knots from the left of the runway. It would be right from my right during the downwind turn. The roll indicator in the video is a little bit off. I need to reset the camera angle. Pretty uneventful here. I allowed the altitude to go above the pattern altitude of 1,500 feet a little bit too much here. I had a little bit too much speed, so I was trying to bleed the speed off. I was gained about 150 feet of altitude that I didn't want. But I slowed the plane down and started losing altitude. You can see I'm going negative feet per second here now. We're crabbed to the right to make up for the wind from the right. We're going to pull flaps, first notch here, slow the plane down. The road on the right is what we use kind of as a follow, as our line for the pattern. Some of the faster planes will go a little wider. Since I'm slower, I'm trying to keep a tighter pattern. I'll fly to the left of that road. As it makes its sharp bend here, we approach the area where we'll do our base turn. The road that you'll see up in the upper left corner is KSB line road, and a lot of guys will fly outside that for their base leg. I'll try to stay into it, again trying to keep a tighter pattern because I'm flying slower. I've got 2 notch of flaps in now. We'll pull full flaps in a minute. Interesting, if you look at my indicated airspeed is 50 and the actual airspeed is 70 because of the wind from the back, so we've got almost a 20 mile an hour tailwind here. It causes me to overshoot my final leg. You'll see I have to make a little bit of a exaggerated left turn in order to get back on runway center line, which I do, and I maintain pretty much reasonable coordination, not skidding, which is really what you have to watch out for in that final turn to final turn. Alright, we've got our control speed down pretty good. We should be approaching it between 55 and 60. Push the carb heat back in just in case I need to do a go around. A little high, so I probably came down a little faster than I normally would, trying to get down. Alright, so now our descent is below 10 feet per second, which is acceptable. Trying to maintain the center line. Watch my feet. Do a lot of rudder action. Still would have liked to have maintained the center line of the runway a little bit better, but you can see I am dancing with my feet, so doing my much better in terms of control of the plane after touchdown with the rudder. Takes a lot of practice, though. That's what this is all about. Wasted a lot of runway, but the reason why I landed further down past the numbers is I didn't want to waste the time getting to this taxiway. Alright, we're testing carb heat here on our second takeoff. We've made a full stop and came around during these conditions. It still is good practice to run a carb heat test just before takeoff to make sure you haven't accumulated it during your idling run on your taxiing. Alright, let's see how I do my second time here. Alright, lined in the center, gradual application of power, forward stick to the left, make up for the left crosswind, lift off, left rudder to maintain a crab here and maintain alignment with the center line as I climb. Doing a much better job this time. You can see the runway just pretty much staying below the plane the whole way. Obviously the wind's buffeting me around. That's one of the issues with this light plane here is you do feel the wind. It's a little bit like being a leaf in the wind. Whenever it puffs and gusts, you're going to move. Takes some getting used to, but it actually is probably one of the advantages of the plane is it's so light and has such good characteristics that it responds to every change in the atmospheric conditions. We're climbing at about 1,000 feet per minute, which is excellent. Making our turn. This time we're going to do a better job of maintaining coordination in the, watch the little ball there, and stays closer to the center. A little more aileron, a little less rudder. I'll also have better control of my altitude. You'll see as I approach my 1,500 foot pattern altitude, I'll cut power or push the nose down, start my turn on downwind. I'm also not allowing the plane to get quite so fast. Now on our downwind leg, I'm about 100 feet too low on the pattern altitude, so I need to work on my pattern altitude control during the pattern practice and pattern run. You'll see I had to make a sojourn out to the right, went out past Lake Bahajico and around just as I was about to make my base turn. A Citation jet radioed in that he was on a final towards runway 17. He would have been right on the runway at about the time that I was taxiing. I would have been in his way, so I just avoided that and made a loop out around and rejoined the pattern again from coming from the north here for my second landing. Again, the roll indicator on the video is a little off because of the camera's not aligned perfectly with the plane. Basically, a 8-degree roll is about level. So we're still crabbed to the right to make up for the crosswind. It's quite a robust crosswind up here at this altitude of 1,500 feet. It's not quite as bad on the ground. Typical for York, though, as we approach runway 35 from the south, there'll be a lot of buffeting as the wind comes over that hill, so you'll get a lot of gusting, and it makes it a little bit trickier to land. You'll see I do a lot of hand movement there at the end. Alright, maintaining a good 1,500 foot pattern altitude here, and we're approaching our base leg coming up. You'll see that road off to your right that we follow, and KBS will come up in your left-hand upper corner here in a minute, and that will be the indicator of our turn to base. I'm going to apply carb heat because I've allowed the engine to slow down. We're pretty much safe from carb heat, but you always have the possibility when you're in this situation of about 60% relative humidity, 55, you still have that issue. Alright. And past the numbers, we allow the plane to descend slightly as we turn base. Again, pretty good turn coordination. We'll pull one more set of flaps. We'll be at full flaps in a second. Slow the plane down. Again, I got a tailwind here, so I'm doing about 45 on my airspeed indicator, doing 60, so close to 20 miles an hour tailwind still. Interesting, the METAR at York Airport during this time was on the ground, showed variable wind conditions at 3 to 5 miles an hour, but actually it was much higher than that during my flight. Okay, nice descent, good alignment with the runway. Now you can see a little buffeting going on. I'm moving my feet, the rudders, the pad, the aileron, the stick. Alright, nice touchdown. Wind started pushing me, pushing the tail to the right, which made the plane go to the left. I cured it by bringing the tail down and putting the tail wheel down on the ground, and I used it to steer and held the stick all the way back. All in all, not a bad 2 practice flights, and I'll probably be doing the annual on the plane soon, but I hope to get the plane in one more run before the annual. They're going to pave the runways at York Airport during the second week of May, so I may not fly for another 2 or 3 weeks, but I'm maintaining proficiency and pretty happy with my progress so far.